Pedro Alvarez Cabal discovered Brazil, Pelé presented Brazil to the world. The king was the greatest football player in history, and his achievements will forever be marked in the world of sports.
Pelé, limpo, gol de Pelé! Gol de Pelé, gol de Pelé, sem dúvida nenhuma, senhores!
Pelé, a goal from Pelé, a goal from Pelé. Without a doubt, gentlemen, much of what today's star players do on the field, whether with dribbles, special touches on the ball, or shots on goal, Pelé was already doing years ago, and his story became one of the most remarkable in all of sports. There are football players, and there is Pelé. On October 23, 1940, in the city of Três Corações, Minas Gerais, a boy was born named Edson Arantes do Nascimento. The son of Celeste Arantes and João Ramos do Nascimento, better known as Dom João, his father was a football player and went to play in Bauru. The entire family moved with him to the interior of São Paulo. On the field, Edson's father did something that even the son could not do. Dom João scored 5 goals with his head in a single game. Edson's childhood, as Pelé was called at the time, was simple and humble. There was a period when his father stopped receiving his salary, and the boy started polishing shoes in the street to help his family. But whenever he could, he would grab a ball or anything resembling one to play football, and much of what he knew to do came from his father's teachings. In 1950, Dick was only 10 years old and saw his father crying. He asked why his father was sad, and he replied that Brazil lost the World Cup. Dick turned to him and said, "Dad, don't cry, I'll win a World Cup." By playing in amateur teams in Bauru, Dick already showed his magic and became Pelé, because he used to call the goalkeeper Bio, from Vasco, by this name, and the nickname stuck. At first, he didn't like it very much, but later he came to enjoy it. The boy who dazzled with the ball at his feet was discovered by former player Valdemar de Brito, who took Pelé to play for Santos. In 1956, he quickly joined the professional team. During training, Pelé, only 15 years old, did magical things that amazed all the Santos players. Everyone knew that a phenomenon was emerging. The following year, he began playing official matches for Santos and was scoring goals at every opportunity. In 1957, in 38 matches, Pelé scored 41 goals. His great performance as a young player earned him a call-up to the Brazilian national team. In 1958, during the World Cup in Sweden, Pelé went to Europe. No one knew Brazil back then, our country was unknown, and nobody bet on our team. For Pelé, everything was very new, and journalists said the boy would feel the pressure. But at only 17 years old, Pelé began showing traces of majesty on the field. FIFA chose the shirt numbers randomly, and Pelé got the number 10. Back then, shirt numbers didn't have prestige, not even the number 10, but after he wore it, it was never the same. Due to an injury, Pelé debuted in the last group stage game of that World Cup against the Soviet Union and scored his first goal against Wales, becoming the youngest player to score a goal in a World Cup. In the semi-final against France, Pelé gave a show of skill, and scored 3 goals. One took advantage of a rebound, and another from a loose ball. The third was a stunning goal. Brazil won 5-2.
Tenta levantar para Pelé, escorregou na hora para no peito, domina, drible espetacular, bate ela, tira gol! Magistral gol de Pelé, dentro da área, dominou o adversário, puxou a bola, tornou a driblar, mandou para o fundo da cidadela contrária. Gol de Copa do Mundo de Pelé!
The grand final was against the hosts, Sweden. The Brazilian team started losing, but soon the magic and football of Pelé appeared, and a show began to unfold on the field. Pelé made several beautiful and skillful plays, and of course, he scored. In the first goal, Pelé lifted the ball and scored with a header. In the second, he scored a legendary and unforgettable goal that entered World Cup history. Then, in the third goal, inside the box, he dominated the ball, pulled it, touched it, and sent it into the back of the net, a World Cup goal by Pelé. Brazil defeated Sweden 5-2, with 2 goals from Pelé and a show from the Brazilians, who introduced the country of football to the world. The team won its first World Cup title. Pelé, in 4 matches, scored 6 goals and became the youngest player to win a World Cup at 17 years old. The boy from Vila fulfilled the promise he had made to his father 8 years earlier. Back in Brazil, the Brazilian people were amazed and happy with the team's achievement. Pelé was hailed and became a national symbol. A reception fit for royalty, he became admired by all. The black and poor boy from the favela was seen in Pelé. He was the most promising image Brazil had, and he enchanted everyone both on and off the field. We can say he was the first global sports star. It was like being magical, and with the ball at his feet, he performed magic and scored many goals for the team from Baixada. People stopped to watch or listen to him play, leaving shops and turning on radios and TVs. That year, in 46 official games for Santos, Pelé scored 66 goals. Besides that, he had to enlist in the army because he turned 18 and also played for the military team, competing in tournaments and championships between the armed forces. He stayed there for 6 months, respected by Santos. In 1959, Pelé scored the most beautiful goal of his career against Juventus from Sao Paulo. The play began with Derval on the right, who dribbled one player and made the cross for the king. Pelé flicked the ball over the defender, then flicked it over another, and finally chipped the goalkeeper. With his head, he sent the ball into the net. Pelé was totally athletic, loved training, and had the habit of staying on the field after training to perfect his skills. He also loved physical training. The guy seemed like a machine because of how much he liked to train.
Você é o Pelé?
Não, eu sou o Jô Soares, sua piranha.
He was the first to arrive and the last to leave. He exercised every day and encouraged his teammates to do the same. At that time, there was no Brazilian Championship or Libertadores, and Santos toured Europe, showcasing Brazilian football to the world. They won almost every match. There were few defeats, and one of them was against Olympiacos from Greece. The Greek team was so happy that they made it a part of their anthem. In 1962, during the World Cup in Chile, everyone thought that this would be Pelé's World Cup because he was more mature, at 22 years old, and was putting on a show on the field. But the number 10 shirt was injured in the second match of that World Cup with a groin injury and did not play again in the tournament. Then Garrincha and his teammates ensured the World Cup title for Brazil. Off the field, Brazil as a country was modernizing in efficiency, industry, and culture, and Pelé played a fundamental role in this. He was the spokesperson for several brands and products, in addition to appearing on various TV shows, soap operas, and movies. Football represented Brazil to the world. If you said you were Brazilian to a foreigner, they would simply respond, Pelé. Santos continued to showcase their football all over the world and also in the newly created competition, the Taça Brazil, which we can call the Brazilian Championship. Santos won 5 consecutive times, but in 1966, it was time for another World Cup. Pelé wanted his 3rd trophy to retire from the national team.
Também homem frio como ele se emociona. Caminhou Pelé, apontou. Olha o time do Santos. Olha a loucura. Olha a loucura. O time do Santos no meio de campo.
But at that time, football had already changed a bit. It became more intense and more defensive. Opposing teams had prepared schemes to stop Pelé and committed many fouls against him during the tournament. Pelé took a lot of punishment in the 1966 World Cup, was hunted down in every match, and the Brazilian national team only won the opening game, losing the other two in the group stage and not advancing to the knockout rounds. Number 10 played 2 matches and scored 1 goal. Pelé then retired from the national team but later came back to play in one more World Cup. Before that, a remarkable moment happened while wearing the Santos shirt. In 1969, the team was on tour in Africa, and in Nigeria, there was a civil war. But for Santos to play there, a ceasefire was declared. Pelé and the Santos team simply stopped a war. Still that year, in the match against Vasco in Maracanã, Pelé scored the 1,000th goal of his career and was applauded even by the opposing fans. If you enjoyed this tribute to the legendary Pelé and want to see more stories about football history, highlights, and iconic players, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to stay updated with all our latest content. Join the conversation in the comments. Who's your all-time football hero? Let us know below.